we were baptized as babies. My sisters and I, my brother and I were all baptized as babies, and we learned how to pray with the rosary. We learned all the different prayers. Went to Bible study, had my first communion and all that stuff. So fast forward to when I was 17, I started college, and I was in the honors college at the University of Akron. And, this was my first time living away from my family. But suddenly, in 2016, or no, before 2016, but during my first year of college, my uncle, was diagnosed with stage 5 lung cancer that spread to his brain. And in 2016, God called him home. But this is when I grew resentment. I began to question everything that God was doing in my life. I was frustrated, and my relationship with him withered as I questioned, why would he take away my uncle when he has these 3 lovely children that he barely got to spend time with? So this was when my grades began dropping. I got kicked out of honors college, and I started drinking a lot. I partied a lot, was getting involved with the wrong people. But in the middle of all of this, my baby sister, Lyra, she decided that she wanted to get baptized. And, out of everyone in my family, I was the only one who showed up for her. And it was mainly because we felt that she was doing it for, the wrong reasons, but mainly because that she was doing it for her now husband's approval at the time. So we didn't understand yet, but I noticed that during, everything that we went through as a family, I realized that Lyra, her resilience in the moments of our hardships was beyond admirable. She was the youngest in the family, but she was the strongest, the kindest, and the most level-headed out of all of us. And I wondered, how is she so sane after everything that, we've gone through? And then 1 year later, my older sister, Kim, she also got baptized. And, I could see their hearts and their habits changing. So in January of 2018, my grandmother passed away. And this was the year that drastically changed my life because we were extremely close. But when Pastor Brandon and my good sister, Kristen, moved to Cincinnati, God knew exactly what he was doing. I also moved back to Cincy, and Reconcile began to meet every week, and we would attend Bible study, and this was where I learned about Jesus again. But this time, it was in a more authentic and genuine way, and I saw how my sisters also grew closer with God, and how, every time I'd come across a difficult journey or anything, my mom and even my dad in the Philippines would always bring up God in the conversation. But I remember during our women's retreat at Reconcile, we had a guest speaker who I adore. Her name is Brittany Pitts. And she said, Jesus is outside of your door, and he's just patiently knocking, waiting for you to let him in. And I remember it was around that time when I realized that I've been hearing him knock, every so often, all the time I'd hear him knock. But I was ashamed, to let him in, to see the mess that I've made. But the more I spent time with my sisters, my parents, my family, and my real friends, I realized that it was time. I felt that I was ready to rededicate myself to having an intentional relationship with God again, and just to release myself from all of the hurts that I've let cover me for the past years. And I began to internally assess my habits and reactions. Life didn't, change overnight, nor did it get easier. But when I started leaning on God more, I was able to handle things better. When I began to accept and forgive, I was reminded of who I am, a child of God.
One of the beautiful things about baptism is that it is a picture of the gospel itself. Romans chapter 6, verse 4 tells us this beautiful picture that is demonstrated. And upon my dear sister's confession of faith, I now baptize you, my dear sister, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, buried with Christ in baptism, and raised to walk in newness of life.